So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a Brilliant Businesses podcast. My name is Nick Bryant, and I'm very pleased to be joined today by Lauren Carvalho from You Raise Me Up. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Nick.
How are you? All right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good. Thanks for coming in. A little bit of background about You Raise Me Up. They're a charity, and their sole purpose is to raise funds to support families that have suffered the loss of an adult child between the age of 16 and 25, providing compassion, support, and understanding. Lauren's role is a massively important role, and she's going to tell us why she does the role and how it all came about. If that's all right.
Absolutely.
Okay,
so I lost my son, Adam, 12 and a half years ago, completely out of the blue. So I'm a mum of 3 children. Adam was my oldest. He was 19 at the time. He'd gone away for the weekend to see some friends, and we were expecting him back home for a massive party that we were having for a lot of family and friends.
Yeah.
And I got that phone call that no parent ever wants to receive, followed by the police knocking on the door as well, because they didn't know that we'd already been given the news via a phone call, to say that Adam had taken his own life.
Okay.
This was devastating, to say the least. I thought and said, actually, to my 2 other children, that's it.
You can't go on.
Our lives are over. Our lives are over. And I've always felt bad about that, and still do. But I've been able to apologise to them. Okay. And thankfully prove that I was wrong.
Right. Well, I don't know what to say. I mean, that's so tough. I mean, I'm a parent, as you know. I don't know. I don't know how you cope with it. So that's amazing. Yeah.
It's I like to think that in what I've chosen to do by helping other people, that's been part of my healing journey. Okay. I'm not sure that I necessarily set out to do that. But I just kind of, it felt...
It's a natural thing.
It happened in that way. I met Jane Brooks very early on after I'd lost my son Adam. Just wanted to actually give her some money that we'd had raised for Adam's funeral. Rather than have any flowers, people gave us some money. And my other son, Harry, I said, look, we need to find a charity to give this money to. And I said, just needs to be something to do with young people. Yeah. Adam was young. So he said, look, Mum, there's this local charity called You Raise Me Up. I'll contact them. So we did. I met Jane. I said, can I give you this money? Yeah. And she said, thank you very much. That's great. But can I come and see you? Nope, that's fine. Just need to give you the money. Yeah,
I don't want any part of this sort of...
Yeah. And bless her, she said, oh, please, I'd like to meet you. Okay. So she came, and that was it. Our friendship, more than anything, was forged then. Yeah. And we spent many times with her and her husband Fraser and their son Ollie, just talking to each other. Yeah. There were a couple of other families who had joined. They just set up the charity. They just wanted to speak to other people. Yeah. Yeah. Who've been through the same thing. Yeah.
So a problem halved, a problem shared is a problem halved. Is a bit like that, really.
I think it just to make you feel not so alone. Because when something like this happens, losing a child suddenly, you feel very alone. Yes. And then I had the added complexity of the fact that it was the suicide, and all the emotions, guilt, that goes with that.
Yeah, do you point the finger at yourself a lot of the time for that?
I did for a long time. I did for a long time. Now working with that, so I became, going back to that. So yes. Jane persuaded. I said I'd been thinking, had thought in the past about being a counsellor, and she just said, "Oh, please do. Okay, we're going to need a counsellor for the charity." So I actually set up the counselling service, right? And we now have a team. Yeah. And learning, I think actually, just doing my counselling training was a lot of therapy in itself. Yeah. For me, having to work on every corner of my soul, as it were.
Well, I guess you're on the course. You're learning tools to help other people with it, which is just helping you with it, isn't it? Because and there were tools that you never knew existed, or
Oh, absolutely.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And there was just a plethora of emotion, and some that people wouldn't necessarily think that you would have to kind of go through, and the kind of dynamics of people's comments, how other people respond to us, how they react to us, if they see you in the street, do they come and talk to you? Yeah.
I mean, you said to me earlier, you can ask me anything. And I just thought, well, I don't that. I found that's quite awkward, because if I didn't know you from this and I'd heard that news, I wouldn't know what to say to you. And I certainly wouldn't feel I have any right to ask you anything. But that's the wrong perception, I think, isn't it? And that's probably one of the problems that you face.
It is, and it's quite normal for people. It's really difficult, and I was probably like that myself before it happened to me. Gosh, what do you say to somebody? The first thing I would say that is okay is just ask somebody their child's name.
Okay, yeah, let's not forget. Yeah.
And, because you connect then, and it shows an element of respect, understanding, and acknowledgement.
So your son's name was?
Adam.
Excellent, okay,
yeah,
Adam.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's refer to him as Adam, not just...
Yeah, thank you. So that means a lot to us. And I always say to people, because I do train people in bereavement now and how they can support somebody bereaved of a young person, and suicide specifically as well. You're not going to upset them anymore.
It can't be worse, can it?
Than we already are. So, but we'd rather you mention, if somebody really doesn't want to say anymore, but asking just somebody's name is okay, and not anything too personal, because they may not be in a position to want to open up a conversation, but at least acknowledging their child. Yeah.
So the charity You Raise Me Up, just tell us why that's called You Raise Me Up.
So Jane Fraser Brooks set the charity up after the loss of their daughter, who was called Megan.
Okay.
Meg loved Westlife.
Right, okay.
And she actually followed, although she was profoundly deaf, but she followed Westlife all over and went to many concerts. And so it seemed fitting for them that was the song they had at her funeral, and also they decided to call the charity after, in Meg's honour.
Excellent. That's really cute. So, what? I was going to ask you why you do what you do, but I think you've explained why you do it. It's quite clear why you do it, to help others. But I think it's something that, I guess, something you're trying to get across is to stop people from worrying to talk about it and to be open about it, about suicide. It's a topic which should be discussed, and it should be out more in the open and not pushed aside. Especially with mental health at the moment, and I don't know. It's almost like it's fashionable. Mental health is at the moment. Is that?
Yeah.
Am I bad in saying that?
No, I think a lot of people saying it seems very, very in, and it's kind of a bit of a buzzword. And some places are kind of doing things as tick box exercises rather than actually fully understanding the meaning of that. And I deliver mental health first aid courses to organisations. And you can tell whether there's a sense of, we just have to do this because the government might make it mandatory at some point. Yeah. But I'd like to think that after I've delivered some training, and we're encouraged to use our own anecdotal evidence. So I talk about Adam, I talk about my loss, and not knowing, not understanding, not seeing what was going on for him, and how I've now taken that to... talk about how we break down the stigma, how we break the silence, and that's why suicide has become such a huge issue, particularly in young people. It is the biggest cause of death in young people under 35.
Is that? So that's horrendous, isn't it?
5 young people every day.
Why? Why do they do it?
There are many reasons. Fear of being a burden on those around them. Okay. Feeling of isolation. But these things are quite difficult to detect. So when I say isolation, I think before I lost Adam, I probably would have thought that would mean somebody who doesn't have any friends, hasn't got much of a life.
Yeah.
Adam had a huge number of friends, was very sporty, beautiful girlfriend, good supportive family, and you know,
you never saw it coming.
Never ever.
No.
And I think anybody that knew him would say the same. He was the life and soul of the party. So he must have been isolated with his thoughts somewhere deep within him that he didn't feel he could talk about. And it's that I've taken now, and in the talks that I give. So my passion now is to talk to other parents, teachers in schools, to develop a program. We're not talking about it enough. There is a fear of once you start, and lots of kind of myths and misconceptions around talking about suicide. Is it healthy? Is it going to make somebody do it by talking about it?
Okay.
That's actually a really big one.
Yeah, is it?
And all research shows that that's not the case.
Okay.
So in talking about suicide with those around us, or if you're feeling this way, you know, something big has happened, you might feel like you just want to end it all. Asking that question, asking a direct question, gives that person the opportunity, even if they don't say there and then and tell you, it shows them that you will go there, that you're not panicked by it. You can have that conversation with me, whether it's now or maybe at some point in the future. You'll know that I've mentioned that.
Yeah, I can see how that helps, because I mean, I'm picturing it. I'm picturing the classroom of kids, if you like, someone talking about it or not talking about it, and someone suffering with it and feel they can't speak about it. But when that teacher or that counsellor like yourself says the word and starts talking about it, that must give them quite relief.
It does, and I mean, certainly as a counsellor, you know, in the therapy room, it's probably easier in some senses when I'm in that counselling situation, because I do, if I'm concerned, I will always ask, and it's part of what we do is you know, ask somebody if they're in danger to themselves, how they're feeling about that. But that's more difficult in a social situation or educational situation, of how we kind of ascertain that what's going on for them. And this is why I think in schools, although there's a lot of mental health training and it's spoken of a lot, but actually we know that many teachers and also parents are still afraid of knowing exactly what to say and how to open up that conversation, because they fear sort of reprisals of, you know, are you going to give them the idea? Because they just haven't had that specific training. And this is something that I, myself and there are many other people who are out there trying to do this and get it into education. That's where we need to start, because the numbers in young people are the highest growth area with the whole suicide statistics.
It's almost like it should be part of the curriculum.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
It is. Well, Roman Kemp did a TV programme literally a few weeks ago, and he is calling for that, for more education around mental health relating to suicide to be in schools. That's how we're going to prevent this. Yeah,
that was my next question. What do we do? How do we stop this? But I guess things like this, which is going to help.
Yeah, talking to, you know, giving teachers and parents the tools, what to look out for. How do we spot those signs? Are the signs there? The signs in my case, I didn't know what I was looking for. But how do you open up that conversation, and what can you say, and what not to say as well? You know, there are certain languages around suicide, so we don't use the word committed anymore. Okay. So the connotation with commit suicide is that it's it's a crime. Yeah. And so that's not a great. So we really encourage people to not use that word anymore. And of course the words like fail or success, failed, we don't use that kind of language. So those kind of things are the things that we talk about. But more importantly, I believe we should, within our homes, almost dinner table talk.
Yeah.
This may seem a bit strange to people, but my God, I wish I had.
Of course, yeah.
And
Who cares?
Exactly,
Yeah.
who cares? If numerous parents say to me, if only I'd known. I would have gone to a talk like that in school if somebody had come in. If only I had known. I knew something was up with my child. I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
So the kind of thing that I do, and I still say it to my other children now who are in their 20s, look, you're going through a tough time, your jobs, relationships, you may have money worries. If you ever feel like you've had enough and you feel like you just want to end it all, just know that you can come and talk to me about anything. And I always get met with, oh, Mum, you keep saying that.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not stopping saying it. And if we all do that and just say to our children, you can come to me and talk to me.
Yeah.
And you won't always feel like this. There is hope. There is hope.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say, what can we do with this podcast? How can we get the message out there? What do we need to tell people to do? I mean, you just said it, but
so break the silence.
Break the silence. Yeah.
The stigma is important around what people think and feel around suicide.
Yeah.
People think it's, if someone talks about it, it's a cry for help. Well, if it's a cry for help, then that person needs help.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a selfish act.
See it for what it actually is.
Yeah, that person is not well in some way. They may have experienced a trauma even. Something may have happened to them in their lives, and it may be as a response to that they've never been able to deal with or speak about. And so it's led them to taking their own lives because they've not been able to speak to somebody perhaps about a specific traumatic situation that they experienced. So for people to just talk about it. Years ago, we had campaigns like Stranger Danger.
Yes.
We were talking to young children about not getting in a car, with a stranger. That's pretty dark stuff. And yet we get met with, we don't want to talk about suicide, or don't talk to us about this because it's not very palatable. Well, actually, unless we do, these numbers are going to keep growing. So we need to make parents and teachers aware, and they in turn need to speak to their children and just say, look, if you ever get to this point, just know you can always come and talk to me. Or we'll get somebody for you to talk to professionally.
Yeah, because a parent could say that, or a teacher could say that, and the person who's having the bad feelings could come to them. But if that teacher or that parent is not approaching it in the right way, then it could have bad effects as well. Like I said, because I wouldn't have thought that I wouldn't not to use the word commit, because it's something that you read about, you see about, you've heard about it, but you don't realise how detrimental that could be. So I think, is it important for them to say, look, we can get some help for you, professional help, or?
Yeah, absolutely, if they need that. I think it's the kind of, and use the word if you need to as well. Use the word suicide or end your life, but you're not going to do anything silly, are you? You're not going to do anything daft. So people do say that. We know. We've all kind of, it kind of rolls off.
Yeah.
But that person is already feeling pretty rubbish anyway.
Yeah.
So we don't want to be saying things like that.
No.
Let's be more specific, because that's kind of minimising also what's going on for them. So by being more specific and saying, look, are you thinking of ending your life?
Yeah.
Or have you had... Often people will say, I've just had enough.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Ask them.
Yeah.
What exactly do you mean by that?
Be direct with them.
Be direct and tell me, I'm here to listen. I've got the time. I'm here and I want to listen. Okay.
And what about the support for people that have actually gone through it, like yourself? And what support do you get? Or did you get, other than talking to great charities?
Well, back then, 12 years ago, I didn't really. In fact, I did have a counsellor. And with counselling, I'm kind of pausing there, because not all counsellors are going to have experienced everything people have been through.
No, yes.
So one of the good points about having had the experience myself is that people say that I really do understand what they've been through.
Yeah.
And because I lost my son to suicide, and even through the charity, the highest number proportionately are losses to suicide. Of course, people do lose their children to sudden illness and road traffic accidents, etc. And certainly, the loss is loss of your child. So it's just that, unfortunately, statistics-wise. So people that I help, where they know, and I'm very open that I've had that experience myself, they feel that is a shared grief almost for them, that I can really empathise authentically, because I know those kind of comments are going to come. Yeah. And so I can give them those tools firsthand of how they can help themselves and support themselves and their families whilst they go through this. Yeah. It's a very lonely place.
Yes, I can imagine. Well, I can't imagine. It must be dreadful. So I think the message we need to get across is to talk, isn't it? And to be open about it and be direct about it.
We need to not be so scared of it. And I understand and I get why people are afraid of it. Yeah. But, in the same way as I was just saying about the stranger check, that's how we prevent this from happening. Yeah. Let's just talk about it, but safely. Yeah. And let people know that it's okay to talk about it in a safe way. And there needs to be more guidance in schools. I honestly believe that that's where this needs to start, because if we
get it right at the beginning,
exactly, that's the words.
Yes.
If we get it right in the beginning, then by the time people are older, they've got some kind of tools. They know what to do. They know they can. By then, it's kind of drummed into them.
Yeah. So, are you looking for people to come to you for help, as in organisations or schools, so that you can go in there and talk about the subject?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I would love to. I've done a few schools already, and it's been really well received.
Excellent.
And sadly, a couple of those schools, it's where they'd had a loss, so they were really, really keen. I even supported some students as a group as well, just to kind of talk about their friend that they lost. But yeah, I would like more schools to allow us to come in, and I have another colleague who's also lost a young child, and we can do these talks and just tell parents and teachers all the stuff. So personally and professionally, that combination of what I've accumulated over those years and from all those other families, all the stuff that we wish we'd known.
Yes, yeah.
And we can impart that to them. Okay. To and explain to them how they can include that safely to their children, so that we can prevent this from happening, whether it's now for them while they're at school, if not, we're safeguarding they're going off to uni or for the future. Yeah, it's really important. So anyone out there, if they want some help, then please do get in touch. We'll leave all the details for Lauren and You Raise Me Up underneath the podcast, and you can contact us through them. Or You Raise Me Up, we've got a great website they can contact you through, haven't they? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And finally, really, the other thing that we need is funding.
Of course you do.
Yeah,
yes.
We don't get any government funding. There are. I'm not even sure if there's any charity who actually do what we do, so we're able to give free counselling, which is limited. Okay. We were giving sort of open-ended counselling at one point, but we've had to limit that because we just don't have the funds. Right. But we are, we have a fundraising team who are organising events. We could do with volunteers. We do sort of festivals. We do some fun events. Okay. People to do skydives, marathons, that kind of thing. But just to come and offer and come along to festivals and help out, that kind of thing. So it's it's some fun stuff as well. Yeah. And then, of course, donations, corporate sponsorship, anywhere really where people want to kind of help fundraise, because that's what we're reliant on. In order to provide the counselling, we provide support groups. Yeah. We have a coffee shop where families can go as well. Right. And it's open to the public.
And where is that?
That's in Polegate.
Yep. Okay.
At High Street.
Yeah. Okay.
And we have an office as well where we sort of run all the fundraising.
Yes. Okay. You're not. Are you a Sussex-based business? What about? Do you help people in other areas?
We have done. Yeah. We spread out to Kent, all over Sussex, and even parts of Surrey. Okay. So we have been further afield. All right. We've been doing NHS referrals even. Okay. Which is a tough one because we're not getting the funding, but we're helping them out because they just can't cope with the numbers. But also we can't cope without further funding.
Okay, so put your hands in your pockets, everyone, and approach them and help out fundraising. Any businesses out there, corporate membership and corporate support is really good. You can put it straight in and you don't pay tax on it. It's a charity donation, so that's all good. Okay, well, thanks, Lauren, for coming in and explaining what you do. It's I was going to say it's a tricky thing, but let's not make it tricky. It doesn't have to be tricky or an awkward conversation. It has to be, like you've explained so well, it needs to be something that's spoken about. So please get in touch if you need to. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll see you all for another podcast soon. Thank you.